And here we have the last little bit of news here, and this is where Microsoft seems to be going with things. They want to go the Adobe and Autodesk way of uh, subscription-based models, where and this is where it's going to get really bad in the end because at this point the business people have already been shoved into it. Okay, so they're paying a monthly, and things are great, right? And here's an example of Office. People were paying $15 a month or whatever it was, right? Now Microsoft says, nope, nope, no more monthly payments. You got to pay once per year, and you got to pay this big amount. And if you don't, well, too bad for you. That's it. And so while the yearly cost is actually cheaper, the hit is actually bigger to begin with. And this is where Microsoft's going to learn something about the universe. Okay, and the perfect example is a software called Blender. Okay, 10 years ago, not even 10 years ago, 2012, I had the city of Peterborough, Ontario, Canada, willing to give me 25 grand to set me up in a business. Okay, like I've been to college for business administration with a major in information systems. Okay, that's business and computers and human resources and all kinds of neat little things thrown in there. Okay, and so they were going to put me into this program. Okay, I hurt my back at work. Okay, you walk through a steel door anywhere, any of you in the world, we used to make them. Okay, and the company was very bad. It wouldn't make a third shift, so we were constantly doing overtime, and eventually you get hurt. That's the reality. So I'm on disability for a bad back. Okay, and because of that, you get a little anxious. So there's I don't know, whatever you call it there. That's the passionate part of me anyway. I've always been a little bit of a but anyway, so I got into learning about 3D software, and I started getting some tutorials from some really high-end people. They were gifting me this really neat stuff. Ran into Kevin Smith's friends, and they wanted me to help them make a podcast, and I started doing some stuff, and then I got ill and couldn't do it. But anyway, um, the disability people wanted to put me in this program. There'd be 9 other businesses. These other 9 businesses had nothing to do with what I was doing, but I would be the guy who would make 3D special effects and animations for your commercials, your advertising, so I had 9 clients I would have had right off the hop. Then they take 3 established businessmen, put it into in there to kind of guide you and give you a little tip here and there on how to do some stuff. It sounded like a really solid idea. And then they would give you like $1,000 or $2,000 a month for like a year or so to help you, get going and keep going for incidentals and whatnot. And the problem was Warner Brothers. This is at a time in Canada where they were bringing. They had this foreign temporary worker program. What they would do is they bring foreign people into work in Canada for 4 years, and then when you were done, ship you back home. Sounds real nice, doesn't it? Well, the companies that were doing this were really not nice because what they were doing was bringing. They found a loophole in it, brought people over at less than minimum wage, which was about $8 an hour to do work that I was doing. They were doing it in banks, airplanes. Can you imagine getting on an airplane with a guy that's making $8 an hour? Like, oh my God! Where did he learn to fly? The back of a box? Like I think there should be laws that certain things that corporations do that should have the CEO dragged right out in public and like spanked. Like just spank him right in public. Okay, all right. He deserves that. But no, you can't do that kind of thing because that's child abuse or whatever. Maybe that's probably the mindset of these people. They're all children. But anyway. Uh, but anyway, so back to all this. So they get caught doing this. Okay? Now I'm at the point where this is all going down, and I'm like, I can't compete against $8 an hour to do this. Okay, why would anybody deal with me when I got to spend $15,000 on Autodesk just to make a 3D anything? That's the kind of money they had. Now you go to look at Autodesk's website now because of Blender, okay, existing and being able to do a lot of stuff, okay? Autodesk now, if you make less than $100,000, will let you pay them $30 or $40 a month. Nope, still not buying it, bud. That's still that's that's the cost of a graphics card in a year. Go pound sand. And Adobe's gone right stupid too. I walked into a store one day and a guy was buying Adobe Photoshop 4 or 5 or something, right? It was like 400 and something, 400, 500 bucks. GIMP was free. Okay? Remember that. you know? And there are plenty of alternatives to make graphics and stuff now that are free and open source and whatnot that people can do. And this is why it's really interesting that Unreal does the stuff that it does, okay? It's free, okay? You can do anything you want with it, but when you go to make money from it, okay, it's 5%. And I'm curious, like if I was to put a short that I made with Unreal up and I had 1 million subscribers and say YouTube pays you, I don't know, a couple $100, I guess I would have to give Unreal 5% of that because that's the deal. Okay, that's just so you have an idea. You don't need to put stuff at the Epic Store. Okay, when you go to make a buck, they want 5%. And if you build up enough people around you, you don't need to put your game anywhere. Like, do you need to make $10 billion? Do you need to be like EA and Ubisoft and like these people? Do you? Depends on the size of your team. If you got 10 people, you need to pay them, right? You gotta make sure they're looked after. Anyway, so okay, you have Office, right? Well, there's a free Office program called LibreOffice, right? This is just gonna it just makes it a bigger hit for a company right off the hop, okay? And it'll slide a few more companies to open source every time they do this kind of stuff. And then when they have less people paying them in the end, it takes more and more money out of their pockets, and then prices keep going up, and up, right? And I got another one to say, okay, there are more Windows 7 users than Windows 10 users. And Windows 7 is supposed to get a 3-year extension here. Is the Game Pass going to come to Windows 7 users? Okay. Because if you do that, I'm guaranteeing you're going to get maybe half of those Windows 7 users say, yeah, that's not a bad deal. Just saying, guys, you want to throw money away. That's one way to do it, is just to say, well, we're sticking to Windows 10 people. All right? So Microsoft has made their games platform exclusive to Windows 10 and Xbox users. Remember that. Okay? That's what exclusivity is about. Okay? My PC not running Windows 10 cannot run that stuff. Therefore, what they're doing is exclusive to those platforms. That's what it is. A client that I use from the Epic Store, the Origin Store, the Ubisoft Store, Steam Store, GOG Store, all that I can play a game on my PC makes none of those games exclusive. Okay? It makes it exclusive to a client, but that's it. These people that do this are doing the. If you see news and they're saying stuff like this, you notice that they're changing the wording now. It's still the same thing, but they're doing just a little slight difference. Okay, and they're doing it to drive traffic to their YouTube channels, just so that they can make money. Okay, they wanna have a because sometimes they'll talk about topics that get them demonetized, then they need something that won't. Okay? This is where it's just BS. Okay? That's why also, once I'm done the topics, I'm done. Okay? Like this one here, we're pretty much done with this. I'm not going to go on for half an hour about silly stuff, but it all comes down to they want to do this for Windows 10. Okay? And they'll keep trying to manipulate all of us into the point where they think we have no choices. They're going to go and make some really great game for Windows 10 that'll have everybody go, "Oh, I got to get Windows 10." Well, I hate to bust it. Like, I use DaVinci Resolve, okay? If I wanted to do some compositing and stuff, right? Well, their newer versions are Windows 10 only. Well, I'm not going up to that version then, And I told them that. I says, I'm not into this bloomin' spy culture. It's like we legalize peeping tomming. It's wrong. It's beyond wrong. If we were to take all these peeping toms, put them on an island bigger than Australia, out in the middle of the ocean, and build a dome over it, humanity would be so much better off. It would solve almost all these SJW problems. It would solve all the other stuff, because this is where it comes from. These spires are stirring up the pot on all of you to divide and conquer, so they can continue doing whatever it is they're doing that's making them money. Alright, I'm signing off on that. This is enough news of the day. I need to go blow up a world or a planet in a video game. Stress time!